You can doubt whether God really even means it. And 4, doubt the goodness of his intentions. Going back to Eve, the Bible says that she took of the fruit and she ate it. You see, something happened in Eve's head or in her heart before she took the fruit. Taking the fruit was not the initial sinful action. Before she took the fruit, she had already sinned. Taking the fruit was not necessarily the sin. Sin had already happened in her heart. Trusting the conclusion of the devil. God can be trusted. She already accepted that. She already started to doubt God's word. She doubted whether God really even means it. And she even doubted the intentions of God. So that already produced sin in her heart, and when she took the fruit, sin had already been produced in her heart. In other words, she put herself on the throne of her heart, at the center of her universe, thus displacing God. She had focused her love on herself rather than God. And that is the core of sin, which we inherited, and therefore we have a sinful nature. Sin in the heart, which is our sinful nature, leads to sins in terms of action. Our evil thoughts, which come from our sinful nature, if you dwell on them and if you put them into practice, they are becoming sins. Something happens in the heart first. That sin that we inherited from Adam and Eve, that sinful nature, if you harbor long enough and if you give it thought long enough, gives birth to sinful actions. Jeremiah 17:9 reminded us of that fact when he said, "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" All of us have a heart problem, and it's called the chronic heart disease. We all have it, whether you're healthy or not, from a health standpoint. But from a spiritual standpoint, we're all chronically diseased with this problem called sin. The problem is that we are born with it because no one needs to teach you how to sin. It comes naturally. Therefore, we have a tendency towards sin. Now, as I mentioned earlier, sin is also love. Sin is love. Sin is agape love, that special kind of God-like love that is central to the New Testament. What do I mean by that? The Bible tells us in Luke 11, verse 43, that Jesus condemns the Pharisees because they have love, and the word there for love is agapao, which is the agape love, for the best seats in the synagogue. In 2 Timothy 4:10, Paul says that Demas left the Christian faith when he fell in love, agapao again, with the present world. In 1 John 2, verse 15, we are admonished by John not to love agape or agapao, the world or the things of the world. Such do not have the love of the Father in them, John says. So therefore, sin is to love the object instead of the creator of it. Sin is love aimed at the wrong target, accompanied by a way of life in that direction. Thus we have sin, which leads to sins because we focus our love on sin rather than on God. That's what Jesus said in Matthew 15, verse 18 to 19, when he said, "But those things which proceed out of the mouth of the heart, and they defile a man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witness, blasphemies." In other words, Jesus said that from our sinful heart, our sinful nature, from there it produces all those things, and if put into action, even your thoughts, they become sins. The Bible pictures sin as the nature of sin as a relational concept. Sin is a way we relate to God. Sin is rebellion against the God of the universe. Sin is personal rather than impersonal because we love sin. Therefore, we make it personal. King David, when he sinned with Bathsheba, he confessed in Psalm 151, verse 10, "Against you, you only have I sinned." Because he understood that he made a relationship with sin instead of having a relationship with God. Therefore, he broke his relationship with God, and therefore he confessed because he wanted to repair that relationship that he had broken. Sin, as in our sinful nature even, is a personal attack against God and his authority. But you might say, well, I have a sinful nature. Am I already at enmity with God? We certainly are. We are not born his friends, we're born his enemies. But if we accept Jesus Christ, God will intervene in that sense. In Romans chapter 8, verse 7, Paul says, "Because the carnal, which is the fleshly mind, is enmity against God, for it is not subject